All right, let's talk about the single most important and honestly, the most overlooked step in teaching anything effectively. I mean it. Whether you're training a new hire, presenting a project to your boss, or even just trying to explain the rules of a board game, getting this one thing right changes literally everything.
So to really get this, I want to start with a story. A real-world story about an energy company that was just hemorrhaging money. It's the perfect example of what happens when your learning goal is, well, fuzzy.
Okay, so picture this. You've got this massive energy company, and at one of their refineries, money is just disappearing. Profits are tanking, and these crazy expensive work orders are just piling up day after day. They know they have a huge problem, but for the life of them, they can't figure out why. So they dig in, they look closer, and they find the source. It's their own engineers. They're highly skilled, super smart experts who are ordering all this maintenance. And get this, the repairs, they aren't even needed. You've got brilliant people making really costly mistakes over and over again. It makes no sense.
And here is the kicker. The company has this amazing, sophisticated piece of software. It's designed to tell them the refinery's maximum possible output based on the quality of crude oil it's processing at any given moment. Now, the engineers, they know how to run the software, click the buttons, but nobody ever taught them how to use the data to solve problems. So they'd see a dip in output and their first thought was, oh, something must be broken, when the software was practically screaming at them, nope, everything's working perfectly for the type of oil we have right now.
So you see, the solution wasn't just more software training. That would have been a waste of time. It was about defining the real goal. The company didn't just need engineers who could click buttons. It needed engineers who could look at data and make smart financial decisions. And that is exactly where having a clear blueprint becomes absolutely essential.
That blueprint, well, it has a name. It's called an instructional objective. And it's not some vague, fluffy goal. It is a laser-focused statement describing exactly what a person will be able to physically do when the learning is over. It totally shifts your focus from the process, the stuff you're doing, to the outcome, the result you actually want.
And this one little statement does two incredibly powerful things. First, it's your North Star. It guides every single decision you make when you're designing the training. And second, it's the measuring stick. It's how you know if you actually succeeded. It's both your starting point and your finish line, all rolled into one.
Okay, so if we're going to write a good objective, we first have to ask, what are we actually trying to teach? Because, as it turns out, learning isn't just one thing. It breaks down pretty neatly. Just think about it this way. Are you trying to teach someone to think differently, like how to analyze data? Or are you teaching them to do a physical skill, like how to operate a machine? Or are you trying to get them to feel a certain way, like truly valuing safety on the job? Pretty much any goal you can think of falls into one of these three buckets: thinking, doing, or feeling. And you can see here how those different domains lead to different kinds of actions. For thinking, you get verbs like analyze or create. For doing, it's stuff like operate or sketch. And for feeling, it's about observable choices like someone choosing to follow a new rule or supporting a team initiative. The verb is everything. Okay, so how do we actually put one of these together? How do you write one of these powerful little statements? Well, believe it or not, a really solid, clear objective comes down to a super simple two-part formula. Step 1, you have to start with an action verb that you can actually see someone do. This is crucial. Words like understand or know or learn are way too vague. You can't see someone knowing something. You want words like list, operate, build, compare. Then step 2, you just add the content. So you don't just say to operate, you say to operate the new espresso machine. That's the core of it, action plus content. Now, if you want to get really precise, like zero ambiguity precise, you can add two more parts: conditions, which are the givens, for example, given a standard toolkit, and criteria, which is the standard for success, something like with 90% accuracy or in under 5 minutes. This makes it crystal clear what success looks like. So let's bring this all the way back to our energy company. Their unspoken, vague goal was something like to understand the software. Useless, right? But what if their objective had been to use the software to determine the maximum refinery output? See the difference? One is just this passive idea. The other is an active, measurable skill that solves their multi-million-dollar problem. It's a game changer. Which brings us to what I think is the golden rule of all of this. Your objective should always describe the destination, not the car ride to get there. It's not about the activities, like watch 3 videos or read chapter 2. It's about what the learner can actually do or create at the very end.
You should always be asking yourself, what is the final, tangible thing I want to see?
Now, I know this might sound like it's just for teachers or corporate trainers, but I promise you, this is one of the most practical communication tools you will ever learn. This applies to pretty much any time you need to get an idea out of your head and into someone else's successfully.
In fact, if you just take one thing away from all of this, let it be this. Defining a single, clear objective is the #1 thing you can do to make sure your message actually lands, that it's understood, and that people can act on it. Why? Because it forces you to get clear on what you want before you even open your mouth.
Just think about it. When you're teaching a colleague a new workflow, is your goal for them to know the process or for them to complete the process with 0 errors? When you're giving your boss an update, is the goal to share information or is it to secure approval for the project's next phase? Heck, even a wedding toast. Your goal isn't just to talk for 2 minutes. It's to make the couple feel loved and celebrated. Defining that outcome first makes you so much more effective.
So I'll leave you with this question. The next time you have to explain something, anything at all, I want you to just pause for a second and ask yourself, am I about to just dump a bunch of information on this person? Or have I decided very clearly what I want them to be able to do when I'm done? Because starting with the outcome, that's not just a trick for teaching. It's the absolute foundation of powerful communication.